Hi, I am Jennifer Purcell, and welcome to my podcast, Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge, where we will discuss, discover, and learn more about the challenges and triumphs of those with NLD and other learning challenges. I do have a website for this podcast, and it is called livingwithnld.com. I also have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter account for the podcast. They are all under the same name, which is Living with NLD. I also have a YouTube channel for the podcast, which can be found by Googling the title of the podcast, which is Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge. I would like to tell you about a nonprofit that I use for my research for this podcast. It is called the NVLD Project, and I use their blog for my research. They are a nonprofit that is based in New York and is trying to get NVLD back on the DSM, and they provide many resources for people with NVLD on their website. I'll provide you with the website for them in the podcast description. All proceeds from the ads on this podcast will be donated towards the NVLD project. Please feel free to explore the other topics on the podcast, and hopefully you will learn something new from them. I hope you enjoy today's episodes. And I'll have Keith start by introducing himself and give us a little bit of background about your podcast as well, please.
So my name is Keith Murfee DeConcini, and the video cast I run is called Disability Empowerment Now. It just wrapped its third season, and we're already in pre-production for the fourth season and a few other surprises along the way. I'm originally from New York City, but I currently reside at the time of this recording in Arizona.
Okay, thank you, Keith. And if you don't mind introducing what learning disability you have, and if you know what caused it.
So I have a number of learning disabilities, dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, uh, and several others that escape my being able to name at this moment. I was born 3 months premature. I have cerebral palsy, and I believe all of my learning disabilities can be effectively connected to that uh, diagnosis. I consider cerebral palsy to be the overlay of my entire system, uh, pretty much similar to any OS your computer is running at the moment.
That makes sense. And uh, what kind of inspired you to create your video cast that you have?
So the video cats, I actually started workshopping it in early 2019, 2019 actually. But it didn't take off the until 22,
Mm-hmm.
right in the midst of the pandemic. And so it was very much a slow burn process. In terms of what motivated it, so the original concept of what eventually became the video cats is I was in school, uh, just or just wrapping up school in New York, and I have a MA in disability studies
Mm-hmm.
from the City University of New York School of Professional Studies, and I was really enjoying the coursework. I'm a creative writer by trade, and so the original idea was me doing interviews, no one hearing them,
Mm-hmm.
and instead me writing those interviews up and creating a professional blog
Mm-hmm.
site. But then I remembered very concretely that no advocate likes or would let their story be told by anyone else besides them, even a fellow disability advocate. And so I was at a crossroads trying to figure out uh, how to solve that issue. And then the idea of podcasting came to me, and then we, me and my team, we just started branching out into video casting last season. And so so the whole process was a very organic one that went through several stages, but that enabled me to arrive at the product that I now offer.
That makes sense to me. I was curious. It sounded like when you were interviewing me on your podcast that you your video cast is basically your full-time job. Do you have money coming in from it, or do you also do the creative writing still?
So the the podcast is the video cats. I consider them one and the same
Mm-hmm.
because they really are. So I'll use the terms interchangeably. Sometimes the video cats is branching out effectively into a more sustainable financial model. I with every new season, I try to create something new than I did last season. And I'm in the midst of creating a organization, a non-profit that would overlay the video cats and whatever comes after the video cats. And I haven't ruled out working with advertisers, working with sponsors like minded, because it's really a social service that I'm providing. It is my full time job. I do acting on the side, I do writing on the side. But this is my bread and butter. It is my legacy. Luckily, I'm able to partner with organizations locally who will allow, who will pay me to do that. Right now, that's a family organization that I partner with. Uh, but I very much want to branch out
Mm-hmm.
and partner with as many different organizations as I can because it's extremely important that people know that these services, what we do, is more than a hobby. It is a vital service. Uh, if if I had to choose between raking in a lot of money, but not being able to forward the conversation and perception around people with disabilities, I wouldn't do what I do
Mm-hmm.
because that's not appealing to me, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not the focus of this podcast. It's always been about promoting disability empowerment and disability advocacy
Mm-hmm.
and allowing people to see disability as a much more diverse lived experience beyond a medical condition.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Because I mean, my podcast and also video cast now is similar to yours, where I try to show the challenges that I have from NLD, but I also I would say I try to empower people too and be like, even though you may have challenges, you can still have a meaningful life, like you were saying. Um, I was wondering if you could speak about some of the challenges you have uh, in in your life with your learning disabilities.
Sorry, I have to plug in my charger for a second.
Okay.
Sorry about that. So, I always, not always, sometimes forget to do that. Hopefully you can edit this part out.
Yeah, I can.
Uh, for flow's sake. So, in terms of the challenges that I face with my learning disabilities, I've noticed them a lot more when I was in academia
Mm-hmm.
because they were always with me. I mean, they're still always with me. They don't just turn off. It's interesting that I'm a writer because without spell check, uh, not that my spelling is atrocious, not that my grammar is atrocious, but the little things that we now in this age take for granted,
Mm-hmm.
spell check, the uh, calculator on smartphone,
Right.
without which can all be considered assistive technology, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Without all of these technologies, I would notice my learning disabilities a lot more commonly than I do in my everyday life. Uh, I don't hand write a lot because it's very, very fatiguing
Mm-hmm.
uh, for me. But when I have to, I do. But that is the only thing that is really a constant reminder of the everyday lived experience. I would also say that I'm a big, big fan and big devourer of audiobooks
Mm-hmm.
because of my dyslexia. So I'm a big proponent of recording recorded books. I also, on occasion, use a screen reader. And so I'm a big fan of that. All of these accommodations, or what you could call accommodations in academia, no matter the level of academia one person seems to be in, or one person is in, can all be considered accommodations and adaptations in everyday life.
Yeah, I can see where those would be helpful. I have used some of the ones you mentioned too. I, like you said, I use spell check all the time. And
Who doesn't?
yeah, who doesn't use spell check? uh, and I've used screen reader program as well, and I also like audiobooks too. I prefer those because for me it's easier to pay attention to an audiobook than reading it physically. Um, and I before I did audiobooks, and I would read a book, I found it very exhausting. Um, and I would find myself like jumping around on the page and would lose place where I was. So I can understand that aspect.
I mean, the only other thing I will experience in my day-to-day life is direction
Mhm.
wise, uh, north, south, east, and west. That tends to be very, very hard for me. Uh, I'm always asking for directions. Uh, I have little to no problem asking for help when I need it. Uh, it's interesting because all of the, again, and I cannot stress this enough, all of the things that one knew that in terms of accommodations and adaptations in everyday life, spell check, uh, calculators,
Hmm.
curb cuts, uh, on street corners. They were new. People fought for them to happen, to be in existence. And we all benefit from them regardless if we need them or not. I work with several editors on my writing because I want to improve my writing composition. I make no bones about that because a lot of people do it. And that's actually a very worthy profession.
Hmm.
And it's like, I I don't really have any shame in talking about what I need in order to function in my day to day existence. I use advisors, I use counselors, I see a lot of doctors. I don't use what I don't need, but I have no shame using what I do need and asking for help when I do need help.
Yeah, that's very good that you are able to ask for help. And for me, I was curious since you mentioned the creative writing and the acting, if you could tell me a little bit more about what you write and uh, what sort of things you've acted before.
So I started writing when I was 7 years old. Both of my parents are professional writers.
Mm-hmm.
So writing was probably crafted into my DNA uh, as much, if not more, than the cerebral palsy, to be honest. Uh, I've written across every genre,
Mm-hmm.
uh, be it nonfiction. I have two nonfiction books published. Uh, I I've written fiction. Uh, I've written a memoir. I've I've wrote in every genre, in every type of writing, a little, but I mainly write poetry
Mm-hmm.
or song lyrics. I find it very refreshing to be able to write in that style, in that form of writing. So that is where most of my creative writing output is and has been over the last half of my life. In terms of acting, I started acting in 2019
Mm-hmm.
with a off-Broadway theater company in New York City called Theater Breaking Through Barriers. This was right before the pandemic hit, and I acted with them on stage and also with another theater company as well. And then I didn't do anything with it because I had to be over here in Arizona to help look after my parents
Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic. Uh, and a few years go by, and they contact me again and say, hey, we're now doing virtual performances via Zoom. Would you be interested? I literally jumped at the chance. And that was very welcome experience. And I've been doing that for several years now. They've now switched to a hybrid model where they do most of the performances virtually, but they also do some in person. I've acted in everything from psychological thrill, thriller and horror genre to just this year acting in a musical,
Mm-hmm.
which is one musical theater is one of the great loves of my life. And so I never thought I would ever be cast in a musical. And I never thought I would be cast as the lead in a musical. Now, also, what makes what theater breaking through barriers does in these playmaker intensives is it's all new.
Before I go into that, I thought I would address that this election is going to be very important, and I am not telling you how to vote. I'm just encouraging you to vote. If you are 18 years old or older, I encourage you to vote and to do a lot of research so that you are informed on what you're voting on and that you are able to do well with the voting process and be informed on it. And I am also an ambassador for the NVLD project, and then NVLD project is trying to get the NVLD back on the DSM, which is a manual for mental and learning disabilities, and it helps people get accommodations in school and in life by defining what the disability is and how it affects you in life, and by showing examples and evidence of it, and by giving a clear definition of it. So that's what the DSM is, and they're trying to get NVLD back in there. And in order to do that, they renamed NVLD to developmental visual spatial disorder. I always forget the D. My hope is that when they do that, they will list all the symptoms, because nonverbal wasn't a very good name for it either, but neither is developmental visual spatial disorder, because it's not just developmental and visual spatial. It's also the social, which nonverbal doesn't have either. So it's like, my name that I've kind of developed for it, which I'm not sure if it's very good either, is invisible learning spectrum disorder. But I don't know if that's very good either. So anyways, and this podcast is also supported by Patreon and Spotify and BetterHelp. So BetterHelp is a therapy company that does therapy online and remotely. I have not used BetterHelp, but I know they're very good, and I have been in therapy for more than 8 years. I think 8.5. I'm not doing it currently, but I was doing it last year, and it was very helpful for me when I was doing it online and remotely. It was very helpful for me. It was able to change a lot of things in my life and make my life better. So if you want a discount for BetterHelp, I'll include the link for that. And Patreon is a way for me to give you the episodes without any ads, like I'm doing right now. And I give you access to transcripts as well, and to the episodes without any ads. So if you want that, it's either $5 for the episode without any ads, or $10 with the transcript. I know that might seem like a lot of money, but I'm not really not doing it for the money. I'm trying to do it so I can donate the money to the NVLD project, or so I can do it to pay back on my website subscription fee. So if you're willing to do that, please do. I will give the link for that as well in the description. And I also have podcast swag. I will get the link for that as well. T-shirts and water bottles and tote bags and other pretty cool stuff. So I will give the link for that as well. Hopefully what you can do with these episodes on this podcast, Living with Invisible Learning Challenge, I would like to challenge you to journal about the episodes and just see what you learn from them. Or you can share about the episodes with your friends and family and see what they can learn
from them. And as always, I will post the links to the articles that I use in the description of the podcasts. And please let me know if you know somebody who you think would want to be interviewed on this podcast, or if you yourself would want to be interviewed. Please email me. I have my email on my website, and I also have it pretty much pretty accessible on Facebook and Instagram through messaging as well. So you can get in contact with me in those ways.